Yeah, so I've got a few, and I could go on and on longer than you want to think. But the broad message I would say is you need to have a mix of flexibility and preparedness, right? And too much of either one will get you in trouble. So, for instance, pack light, right? And I know people say this, and every guidebook you'll read will say it, and you never get convinced until you're trying to drag 50 pounds up a stairway to your third floor hotel room where the elevator is out, or trying to lift it into a railroad car with its extremely narrow compartments, right? Pack light. You can always buy what you need when you get there, right? I always kind of compete with my students, and I always win because I'm more experienced than they are. I tend to pack about 20 kilograms for a 3-week trip, and I know that I can go to a laundromat and wash my clothes, or if worst comes to worst, I can wash them in a sink, right? So pack light. I would say be open to hostels. Hostels have a reputation from the movies as really bad, dangerous places to be. They're actually not what hostels used to be like. In the 70s, it was a gym floor with cots where you would chain your stuff to your cot and to yourself so that nobody would steal it, and you would sleep with 50 other people in the same gym room. That's not what hostels are today. Hostels, the rooms resemble a college dorm room. There's no TV. There's no computer waiting for you. But they're clean. They are safe. They are well kept up, and they're a place where you can meet people from all across the world, right? They have common areas where you can sit and you can play games and you can read books, and you will meet people from Australia and New Zealand and South Africa and Scandinavia, and sometimes even people from Iowa or from Texas who you hadn't met yet, right? And this is a chance for you to learn about the world from the people who have lived it, right? You're not just seeing something and hearing it from an audio guide. You're talking with people. And I have students who have made friendships that still are alive 10 years later, right? That they met in the hostel. So be open to that kind of thing. I would say do all of the touristy stuff. Sure, go to the castles. Go to the museums. But try and get a feel for what everyday life is like, right? Try and get a feel for what it's like to live as a European, or perhaps an Asian, or perhaps somebody living in New York, right? Get up at 6:30 in the morning. Because if you want to see people before they put their game face on, get up and walk around at 7 when they're going to work, when they're cleaning their store up, and they think all the tourists are asleep. That's when you get to see what people are like, right? Don't go to the tourist restaurant in the center of town. Go to some small place in a neighborhood where the people from the neighborhood are going to be. And yeah, you may not be able to read the menu because it might not be in English, unlike the tourist spots, but you can guess. And as you guess, you'll get a feel for what life is like, right? In a way different. You don't want to be in a place where everybody speaks English, because you won't really learn anything that way, right? And I would say, last thing I would say, don't schedule yourself so firmly from the front end that you don't have a chance to take advantage of opportunities. Now, this is not true if you're going to take 18 people, right? If you take the kind of trips I do, you have to have hostel reservations, and you have to have flight reservations, and all that has to be planned in advance. But if you're going by yourself or with your family, you can always find a hotel room. It might be $10 more than you really wanted to pay, but the return on that kind of flexibility is amazing, right? Because you might find something that the guidebooks don't talk about that you think is just fascinating. And it would be a tragedy to have to miss that, because you've already bought your train tickets and you've already got hotel reservations. When my wife and I went to Europe on that honeymoon, I had 3 nights reserved in a hotel in Vienna. That was the extent of our reservations. You may not be comfortable with that, and I get that. I'm not sure I would do it the same way again. I don't think I told my wife. But that let us open up the guidebook in the morning and say, okay, well, I think we're done with this city. Let's go somewhere else. And we'd get to the train station, and I'd call a hostel, and I'd say, hey, do you have a room? And we never failed to get a room in a nice place. And we had some great encounters along the way that were only possible because we didn't have the plans. In many cases, the best part of the trip is what you didn't ever expect to see. So give yourself the freedom to find that.